So think about that. There's 2 years. You got a loan modification within less than 2 years ago, and you find yourself in a situation where you're still trying to hold on to your home. What's up, everybody? Welcome to AskRinde. I'm Rinde Adebayo, digital entrepreneur, real estate entrepreneur, and top producing real estate agent here in New Jersey, and welcome to AskRinde. If it's your first time on my channel, please hit the subscribe button and smash the like button. I do videos about foreclosure, income, and credit, and I would love to have you as a part of our growing network all around the country. Also, we're currently enrolling for Foreclosure Hacks Academy, so click the link below to get started today. So this video has been a long time coming, and that's because it's one of my most frequently asked questions. I would say about 70% of our clients that we deal with in our foreclosure business have had this issue either currently or in the past. And that issue is they needed a repeat loan modification. Many people find themselves in a situation where they've gotten a loan modification previously, and now they find themselves in a position where they need one again. And so I'm doing this video to be able to give a little bit of insight and share a little bit of knowledge into what's going on in the background, what you can expect, and the key rule that you need to be aware of if you find yourself in a situation where you have just recently gotten a loan modification within the last 24 months and may need one in the near future. From the time you start looking for a house and you sign a contract with a realtor and it gets accepted by the seller, and then it goes over to pass the home inspection and it goes over to underwriting, where they underwrite the loan and give you the mortgage for the property, and then sell your loan off with other mortgage-backed securities on Wall Street to an investor. The lenders and the mortgage servicers are protecting themselves. The entire system is designed to be able to protect themselves from the beginning. And why I'm sharing this is because 2 years ago there were some important changes that you need to be aware of that were done to the TILA and RESPA mortgage servicing rules. And so there are state and federal guidelines that the mortgage servicers have to follow. And basically what they're doing is legally keeping themselves in compliance, because with these guidelines govern that they actually give you consideration, that they give you an opportunity to actually have loss mitigation performed so that you can avoid foreclosure, avoid losing your property, and avoid the entire process. They have to actually put their best foot forward and send you these packages, and then basically protect themselves from any federal ruling against them, to show that you actually have been given the opportunity as best they could to be able to help you save your property. And so, as we know, with a loan modification, there's a process. I'm not going to go into it in detail with this video because I've already done a video explaining the process, which I'll leave in a card here somewhere on the screen. But a loan modification pretty much is a courtesy from the bank. So although they're complying both on the state and federal level, it's a courtesy because they're really going to have to reconfigure your loan or reorganize your loan and your terms in order to give you a new and a fresh chance. Now, the thing is with the loan modification, as we all know, you go through the process, you apply. A lot of people don't know this, but part of those requirements is that your surplus income must be 15% of your monthly income. So meaning that your surplus income over and above what your monthly expenses are must be 15%. There's a threshold. It must be 15% of your monthly income. So that's one of the sticklers that where some people, if they don't meet that eligibility, they're wondering, well, how come I didn't get a loan modification? Well, that you have to make sure that you clear that, and you have to make sure that you meet that threshold, because the lenders, they're very unique bunch. Some of them, I would say, are probably a little bit more lenient than some others, but generally they all have federal guidelines that they have to comply with. Now, the thing about it is that going further, as we know with the loan modification, once you get to a point where they say, okay, well, we're going to give you consideration, then the next thing is you're going to go into what is called a trial period. Most times that trial period is 3 months. They're going to give you a payment that they're going to share with you that you need to pay for the trial period. And that is pretty much your test to see if you can actually afford the new payment that they are going to issue to you after they give you the loan modification. That payment is going to be a good indication of what your new monthly mortgage payment will be. So the lender is actually able to gauge if you can actually afford a loan modification by you actually successfully going through the trial period. Now, after you get the trial period completed, of course, they'll go ahead and send you a congratulatory package, and they'll go ahead and issue you the loan modification with your new payment terms. And generally, like I said, it should be very, very close to what that payment was during your trial period. Now, what happens after you get the loan modification? This is where the stickler is, because we've had so many people get loan modifications and actually find themselves in a situation where they actually are needing another one. What happens when you struggle to basically prove yourself during that trial period? Making sure that you meet those payments, maybe you've borrowed money, maybe you've actually taken a loan out to make sure that you can actually, comply with them to basically get your opportunity to be able to get a reset. So you've done all you could to be able to struggle and get through to that. But then if we look at everything when the smoke clears and the dust settles and you get the loan modification, nothing's really changed. You have a situation where you still have the property is there. The property hasn't changed. There's nothing much changed there. Your income situation has not changed drastically. Now, there have been some situations where people have lost income, lost a job, and they've gotten a new job, and they've gotten in a situation where they've gotten themselves in right standing. But what we're talking about is people and we're talking about circumstances where people are finding themselves in a situation where the income, whether it be a new job or it's the same job, is not cutting it. It's not affordable. It's a struggle. It's a strain. And there's only but so much time that you can give, a dam or a wall that's being hit over and over until it cracks. And when that crack happens, that the timing is very key. Because if you find yourself in what I'm about to share with you, this is why we're seeing a lot of people running and really panicking that we're dealing with and we're helping through all around the country with this type of situation. And so what is going on is that people are finding themselves where they've gone through the entire process, gotten a loan modification, and now within a 24-month period, they're finding themselves needing a new loan modification. And the question has been, why can't I get a new loan modification? And it's pretty much pandemonium. And this is the reason why. So just like how the lender has state and federal guidelines that they have to comply with in order to be able to give you a courtesy to get your loan modification, some people have thought that this rule is a new rule, but this is really not. This rule has been really been around since, I would say, about 2011. And it's just, people who have gone up now for it, they're realizing that the lender is denying them, and they're coming back and saying, well, what do I do? So it's pretty much a double-edged sword, because there's a rule by the CFPB that states that homeowners who have gotten loan modifications within the last 24 months cannot be issued a new loan modification. So think about that. There's 2 years. You got a loan modification within less than 2 years ago, and you find yourself in a situation where you're still trying to hold on to your home, and you've done all you can to basically struggling to make sure that you hold on to the property, pay your mortgage, and be on time. But then you find yourself that you're falling back, and you're in a position where now you really need another reset. Well, if you find yourself within that window of time, that 24-month period, the lender is not going to be an option, because they're not going to give you a loan modification, because they're following the same federal guidelines that they've given to be able to give you an opportunity to get the loan modification in the first place. Now you're here and you need another one. So it's important to understand, if the house is still the same, if your income is still the same, if the circumstances, nothing has changed, you got a loan modification and it was a struggle and you got that reset, but then you find yourself still in the same situation, nothing's really changed, you're going to basically put yourself in a position where within that 24-month period, you're not going to be able to have the lender as an option to say, hey, I'll need you to give me another loan modification because I run into a situation where I need help right now. That's because they're going to just look at you and they're going to say, well, this application is denied. We cannot accept it because you have had a loan modification within the last 24-month period, and we are complying with the law. It's just like I shared in the Foreclosure Hacks course when I was sharing about the 37-day rule, that lenders actually, they will use the law to their advantage when they can. Like I shared, from the time you started buying the property or even thought about buying the property, they were protecting themselves before you even put the offer on the house. So understand that. So now, how do we get around this? How do we get around the 24-month rule, so to speak? Well, there are two things that I think that everyone needs to be aware of, that you need to be doing before you get a loan modification and also after you get a loan modification. And I call it my top 2 tips for before and after to get a loan modification. It's very important that you actually understand these dynamics so that you can not only get a loan modification, but also maintain your property, maintain your position as far as your economically in your income, and really get around this rut that we find ourselves in, where we're needing a loan modification in less than 2 years. And because we want to make sure that we are knowledgeable and we explore all options, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where the law is against us, where we don't have any recourse because we're just depending on what the lenders say is going to be. And in this case, they're going to use the law to their advantage. You just need to be aware of that. And so my top 2 tips for what you should be doing before a loan modification and after a loan modification. So it's very important, if you're getting a reset, you need to reset everything. You need to reset your income. You need to reset your property. You need to reset your life and reset so that you can actually save your property and get a new start and do everything all over again. And in order to do that, sometimes we need strategy, we need wisdom, we need insight into what to do, especially when you're facing a brick wall and you're facing a denial from the lender. How do you navigate around that? So we'd like to share with you some insight on how to exactly navigate through that and actually get yourself into a point where you can actually push through. It's like the Bible says, you can't put new wine into old wineskin. And so what that saying means is that you can't, it's like out with the old, in with the new. If you're going to get a reset and an entire change, a reset from the lender, you need to reset your entire situation. And there's a way to go about doing that. There's a way to actually make changes that will position you so that you will not need a loan modification within another 24 months from a previous one that you've already received. Previously we've had people, before this rule was really implemented or enforced, we've had people had 2 and 3 loan modifications, and then he just felt like, oh, you know what? If I need a loan modification, another loan modification, I'll just go to the lender and they'll do it. And they're being surprised because they're hitting a brick wall because the lender is continually denying it. And it's not like, it's like it's a temporary denial, or you can just resubmit this and you can manipulate it and you can try a certain number of times and they'll give you no loan modification. They're denying it because what they're doing is they're using the law to their advantage. They're not going to give you one because they know that they have to maintain compliance. And why would they actually put themselves in the position of having to go through with that? They're being oversight federally. And so you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in that position. And so I definitely would encourage you to check out my top 2 tips for what to do before a loan modification and also what to do after you get a loan modification. I call it my before and after loan modification guide. You can actually check it out in the academy. I'll leave the link below. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us AskRindeNetwork@gmail.com. We're going to be having and announcing our monthly giveaway in one of our videos this month, and so look out for that, and I look forward to actually connecting with you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, see you in the next video.
Welcome to Foreclosure Hacks Academy, the leader online to stop foreclosure, transform your income and credit. Many people have joined and experienced the change. See testimonials inside. You don't have to lose your home to foreclosure. Take the 30-day foreclosure challenge. Apply for our reinstatement fund, qualify for help. www.foreclosurehacksacademy.com